Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now guys, they say madness is repeating the same things over and over again and expecting a different result. So if you repeat the same thing over and over again, of course you will get the same result. As guys, I bring you this. Akpabio denies getting 500 million naira NDDC jobs. So we're talking, of course, about Akpabio. What is his first name again? Let's just check his first name quickly. God's Will. So God's Will Akpabio is who we are talking about. Of course, a name that you're familiar with. This guy has now been made the minister in charge of the Niger Delta, which is where a lot of the money within the Nigerian space comes from, and a good size of it goes back into that region as well as insulation to keep it quiet. And the person that they have put in supervision of that money is God's Will Akpabio, who is previously with the EFCC, with a myriad of accusations and the laws and the police chasing hard at his heels, and then suddenly he's found himself at the presidential villa being nominated as a minister of state, which then backs off the authorities, of course, from that chase. But then, of course, a man that is already known for criminality is now being queried why he's conducting himself in his new portfolio in a criminal manner. So again, the headline: Akpabio denies getting 500 million NDDC jobs. So now let's see what Boju this guy wants to majori us with. The Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, has debunked allegations he collected and executed projects worth 500 million naira in the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) when he was a serving senator. He said that President Muhammadu Buhari should be commended for being the first #1 citizen that is not using the NDDC to settle family members and political cronies. He said he was not aware of the various expenditures in the NDDC because their expenses were below the threshold of what a minister is required to approve. So 500 million is below the threshold of what a minister should approve. So I wonder what that threshold is then. He urged the National Assembly to collaborate with the executive to stop financial abuse in the agency. Akpabio spoke when he appeared before the Senate Ad Hoc Committee investigating alleged financial recklessness and misappropriation of 40 million naira by the Interim Management Committee IMC of the NDDC between October 2019 and May this year. So between October 2019, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. So that's about 9 months approximately. Within 9 months, these people have already wiped their mouth with 40 billion naira. And this is just the beginnings of a new tenure. So, and this is not even a full calendar year or even a year, but just by counting the months, this is just barely 9 months into it. And these people have already disappeared 40 billion naira. So by the end of their tenure, of course, they would have wiped out the whole of that agency. But we carry on. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Peter Nwaoboshi, had at a press briefing accused Akpabio of securing 500 million naira worth of contracts from the NDDC without executing them. Akpabio said that the allegations being thrown around against him were because of the ongoing forensic auditing of the agency. He said that as a minister, he has only signed one contract, which was on the C-19 palliatives between October and July because it passed due process, and it was also approved by the Federal Executive Council, FEC. He said he was not aware of the contracts and expenses by the NDDC because they were done under their threshold. He condemned the idea of splitting contracts in NDDC, adding that the budget process in the agency should also be improved by ensuring that details of the proposed expenditures are supplied for the lawmakers' scrutiny. The minister agreed that there was a lot of financial rot in the NDDC, with completed projects being re-awarded at huge cost. So just look at that. This is somebody now that is in charge of an agency saying this, that completed projects are being re-awarded at huge cost. Just pause for a moment and reflect on that statement. And they are saying you want to add corruption. Corruption will finish you before you finish it. He cited the case of an electrification project in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital, which he initiated and completed whilst in office as the governor. The electrification project in Uyo, which I executed and completed as a governor, had been re-awarded for 3.7 billion naira, but we have stopped it, he said. On the 500 million projects he allegedly got from the commission, Akpabio said, when you are in the Senate or the House of Representatives, you can make suggestions to the committee chairman concerning your constituency. It is left to that agency to accept it or not. So probably when I was in the Senate, because that letter is dated 2017, I must have made recommendations that they should consider to include it, but they were not included in the budget. They were not considered, so those jobs were not done. Not 1 naira was paid. And when you make recommendations, it is not that you are going to be the contractor. It is that if they put a job for your constituency, when they are going through due process, they will advertise that job, and that job would be awarded to the contractor that won the bid. It is not that when a senator makes a suggestion to an agency, that senator will automatically go and become the contractor. And the fact that the paper was written on the minority leader's letter-headed paper shows that it was not an award. An awarded contract would have been on the NDDC letterhead. So when I saw it, I did not think it was worth responding to, because I am a seasoned administrator and a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and I owe the nation nothing but good service and to tell the truth. It is not worth responding to because it was total falsehood. I have never been a contractor in NDDC. Even if those suggested projects worth 500 million were accepted, there is no guarantee that Godswill Akpabio or my nominee would have been the contractor. On the 40 million allegedly misapplied by the IMC, Akpabio added, and then the issue of the missing 40 billion, and then the issue of the missing 40 billion. I came to honor my colleagues. I am a senator forever. They have the right to look into issues when they are raised. It was a motion and they have the right to investigate it, and whenever their investigative report comes out, it would help me to supervise and monitor the NDDC better. But it is not that the money was missing, because the Central Bank of Nigeria harbors the account of the NDDC, so you cannot go and take out 40 billion from the CBN and eat it without trace. Technology has gone too far. He said that the report and recommendations of the panel would help him look at whether the monies being spent by the NDDC were rightly expended or not. It is a combination for us to change the Niger Delta. That is why I said everything here comes up to forensic, he said. He noted that even though he is from the Niger Delta region, that he has never been impressed with the NDDC. I am a Niger Deltan, but I have never been impressed with the NDDC. I must say that I have never been impressed with the NDDC. I must say that I have never been impressed with the NDDC. Throughout my tenure as a governor, I wasn't impressed. You do politically motivated projects, you do a road of 5 kilometers, and in next rainy season, it would wash away. Go to my state and see the roads I did 13 years ago. You don't see a single pothole on them, because I took cognizance of what the terrain is in the region. You cannot rule a people and give them the good projects if you don't love them. Some of these people are merchants. They just come into the commission on the basis of political connotations and with one aim to make money and go and contest election. So now the president is the first president in Nigeria that has not used the NDDC as a place to settle political cronies. That is why he has the courage to order for forensic audit of NDDC from 2001. We must commend that, because if his family members and political cronies were going to the NDDC as in the past to go and collect money and phony contracts that were not executed, there is no way he would have ordered the forensic audit. So mine is to make sure that I carry out the instruction of the president and clean the system and then set up a management structure. So I like what is happening here, and I just want to tell you, please don't believe in sensational journalism and then somebody will come and say Akpabio under probe for 40 billion. Which Akpabio? If see 40 billion, I won't faint. On his part, the acting managing director of NDDC, Professor Pondia, threatened that he would resign if the allegation of corruption against him are proven by his critics. Pondia, whilst dismissing allegations of financial recklessness against the IMC, said if anyone has any evidence that I collected even 1 cent from any contractor, let him present it and I will resign instantly. We need to be very careful in making spurious allegations that distract the NDDC. The chairman of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee panel, Senator Olubunmi Adetunbi, said that all facts being used to probe the NDDC were from the agency and other official sources. He reiterated the essence of the investigation was to make sure that the Commonwealth of Niger Delta works for the people of the Niger Delta. According to him, the investigation is not about missing money, but about ensuring that monies get into the right pockets that will promote the best interest of the Niger Delta region and its people. The committee also told Akpabio that at the end of the investigation, those who specialize in hijacking people's patrimony would be put out of business. So this is the cut and thrust of it. It's all long-winded and well stretched out, but the upshot of it is money is missing and there's no explanation for it. So the head of the agency is coming to say that, oh, this money is below my threshold, so I don't sign off on it. And the person that is a director in a sub parastatal within that agency is threatening to resign if there's any money found to have been misappropriated by himself. But the upshot of it, the total entirety of it is 40 billion naira has disappeared. And this is how they go and blow grammar, and I'm sure that they went with big bags to the Senate halls, and I'm sure those big bags that they went with to the Senate halls did not come out of the Senate halls with them. So you all know the narrative, Ghana must go bags and everything. So this is just something that repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats within the Nigerian space. Money goes missing. The person in charge of the money says, I know nothing, sir. The person under the person says, I know nothing, sir. The authorities are called in to say, what do you know? And then the investigation goes on for 5-10 years. And at the end of the day, the person that was in charge of that agency is now a governor or a minister, whilst that money is still missing, and the people are still suffering from the things that money was meant to put in place to insulate their suffering. So this is the Nigerian story. It never changes. It's always been like this, and it continues to be like this. Conversations in the comment section, they've put the cat in charge of fish. So now this is really the only analogy that applies when you put somebody like Godswill Akpabio in charge of money. What says you? Come share thoughts. Who do you believe in this long-winded, rather convoluted, but the upshot of it, money missing story? So what is the position that you're taking with regards to Akpabio and his positioning within the NDDC? Come share thoughts. But before you do that, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Click on like as well, that helps with the YouTube algorithm. Once you've done all three, then come talk corruption with me in the comment section. So I'll leave you here, carry this conversation on with you in the comment section, but here I say peace.